Well, we're now into the Final Four in the NFL playoffs, and here's 4 names that we all knew would be in the Final Four. Well, we'll start with Tom Brady, so that's one. Of course, Nick Foles, you figured he'd be there. You can't miss on that. Case-Keenum, and Blake-Bortles. Think about that. Let's go again. Here we go. Nick Foles, Case-Keenum, Blake-Bortles, Tom Brady. Other than being quarterbacks, I mean, frankly, what does Tom Brady have in common with all of those guys? You know, not much of anything. But there you are. Now, I don't want to fall into it just shows that a quarterback's sort of irrelevant camp, because part of the reason, for example, Philadelphia is where it is Carson-Wentz played like a big-time MVP candidate for most of the season until he blew out his knee. Then Foles has come in to, kind of slop his way through a couple of victories in the playoffs. But what I think what it does show is that if you have a quarterback who isn't turning the ball over a whole lot, combining it with a pretty good running game and defense, you can make some real headway in the playoffs. Which, of course, brings us back to what should the Browns do. And I would say it brings us back even to, Alex Smith with the Browns, who I talked about last week, to get some stability at the position. And it also, I mean, I even heard this name a couple weeks ago mentioned with the Browns because it's a guy that John-Dorsey, the new general manager, likes a little bit. Chase Daniel. I mean, I'm not going to go down that road a whole lot, but he could be another guy being in here. But it also shows me, when you're talking about Bortles, by the way, was in the 2014 draft with Johnny Manziel. He was the first quarterback pick that year. Nick Foles has been around. Case-Keenum has been with several teams. And, of course, Brady is playing at the age of 40. You don't see a whole lot of kid quarterbacks, by the way, with these teams winning some playoff games. And I understand that the only way you could become a veteran quarterback with experience means you have to be a young quarterback who plays some. But I also would say that, what we have seen in Cleveland so much is rush to judgment on so many of these young quarterbacks, throwing them in there. To me, watching what happened here in the playoffs this weekend made me think all the more that getting the veteran quarterback, letting him start some games, building young quarterbacks behind him is the way to go for the Browns.